this particular topic, which is also kind of topic of my research, basically. But before I dive deep into this topic, before I try to explain you what is the importance of this particular topic today in our summit, I would like to really start by talking about me and my story and how did I come to this particular topic altogether. So the background of how I reached this particular place, why I am working with this topic. So basically, uh, my story around this topic started when I was around 15 or 16 years old. Uh, when I was sitting in Mumbai as a student myself, um, and I was trying to develop this skill of reading regularly, because I was always a lot impressed with my father because he had a lot of variety of books at our house, and I was not a person who was into reading that much that then back then. So I wanted to develop this skill, and for that, what I used to do is I used to pick up newspaper sometimes and just randomly go to any section on the newspaper and start reading for just a few minutes a day. To be very honest, it was not something that I enjoyed a lot, but just because I wanted to develop the sense of reading and how can I be a fast reader and a vivid reader altogether. Um, so I so this one afternoon, I remember I opened the newspaper, and I went to the first section that I usually go is the sports section. I read about some sports news, and then just opposite the sport news, there was a technology section where they talked about this newspaper. I think probably was in 2013 or 2012, sometime back then. And this particular section talked about the fourth industrial revolution. And I was a little bit uh, uh, perplexed, like what is an industrial revolution and why is it the fourth one? Like there are seasons, there is first season, there is second season, there are there's first World Cup, second World Cup, and there are much bunch of other things. There are sequences to a lot of things. So when I read this section, I felt like, why is this the fourth industrial revolution? What is an industrial revolution altogether? Why is it important? Uh, and then there were a lot of technologies that were mentioned in this particular section when I read. To be honest, I didn't understood any of it back then, but it was very interesting for me because it gave me an idea of something is happening right now, because it's a revolution. So with revolution, the idea is definitely things are going to change. So something new is going to come, something old is going to be replaced. Then the section also talked about robotics, about industrial robots, this and that, and a lot of interesting things. I was not into robotics or engineering as such back then, but this stayed with me. So when I moved and when I started doing my bachelor's, which was in engineering sciences in mechatronics, uh, I again came back while I was reading some papers, some scientific papers for my bachelor studies. I again came to this particular topic. I revisited this topic because I saw it in a few papers. Then I discussed it with one of my senior friends, uh, and that is when everything started for me. That is when I realized that the revolution is real, it's happening. And I started learning a lot of new words, which I had no idea about. For example, also in my title today, a lot of words probably someone who is not from this background don't really know the meaning of cyber systems, what is cyber physical systems actually, and what is an AI as such, what is robotics, what is a revolution altogether, what is the fourth industrial revolution. Um, so I came across a lot of terms, and that is what drives my motivation to see everything that is happening right now around us, the technological revolution that you see with the coming of AI and everything. So I started seeing it from a particular lens, and I realized that it starts making more sense as I see it from a particular lens. So the goal today with my talk is really to again restart this story, which I just said you. So my story was the words that I had no idea about, but I read it at some point, and eventually I started looking it into industries, and I started reading more and more about it in the engineering books, test books, research papers, and I started mapping the dots from here and there. So the goal today would be to really give you all those words and to make you a little bit motivated to see things from this particular fashion, this particular idea that I'm going to share today. Uh, and I'll also talk about robotics and AI, which is actually my field. And as I mentioned in my story, I started in Mumbai. I did my master's in mechatronics later on after my bachelor's when I understood about this industrial revolution. So my motivation was completely to work in this revolution, to see like where the waters is taking me, because I was seeing that the ocean is being formed. There is a new ocean that is coming up now. So I wanted my boat to be ready and to sail off in this new ocean. So that is why I decided to do masters in mechatronics. Right now, I work as a scientific researcher, as already talked about, already was introduced. Uh, and my research topics are around robotics and AI. So I'll definitely try to also push my topics in the overall conversation. But the goal today is to really, from my side, is to really leave you with leave you without answering all the questions, to be honest, so that you can go and as I have had a journey in this particular space, you can go and you can also try to read and see what this revolution is and where do you see yourself? How do you position yourself inside this revolution? What is going to change? What is not going to change? What is the impact? So we will try to discuss all of this in today's session. And after the session, we can also open up the discussion and talk more about these aspects. So this is about me. Um, and now let's dig into the presentation. So before I even start everything, what is an industrial revolution? Why does it matter? Why are we talking about this in our summit today? What is the importance of that for our community, let's say, or for all of us? If we put that together, why do we have to know about this revolution? What's an industrial revolution? Um, so as you see in this graph, in this plot down here, that the global GDP per person, which is average per person, going back from 1000 BC, here you could see, up to 1750, more or less, has stayed almost flat. The global GDP per person has kind of stayed a little bit of fluctuations here and there, but you can see that it has stayed almost flat. But something really happened in the year 1750 or 1760, somewhere there from the plot. It's pretty visible that changed it. And now the plot looks something like a hockey stick. In fact, it's called the hockey stick plot. So if you Google it later on, you would find it. So it looks like an hockey stick now. So something from 1760 changed, and the global GDP per person drastically increased. So there is a drastic change that happened. What is that change? So this year is the 1760. In fact, is the exact year of the dawn of industrial revolution. So this is when the first industrial revolution started. We'll talk about what is that. But as you could see, the impact of it is immense because the GDP, it's evident from the plot, has drastically changed. It is growing ever since then. But not just GDP, with the change in GDP, the productivity of our industries have changed. The literacy of individuals have changed. The life expectancy, the infant mortality, and a lot of these things that affect our daily life um, regularly on the regular basis have drastically changed because of industrial revolution. So here you could see something has happened in 1760, which we would call as we would term as industrial revolution, which is affecting our lives, not just our industries, not just our you know not just technology in general, but it is also affecting the way we live, the way we communicate, the way our societies are functioning, socio-political setups, and a lot of other things. So it's really important for us to understand what is then industrial revolution, because here you can see this is one of the most important thing driving our GDP, and a lot of other scientific revolutions that are going on right now. So let's now talk about the industrial revolution. So the first industrial revolution, as I said, started in 1760 in England, and here you would see the image of a steam engine. So basically, it was a shift from, human work, like human muscle work, let's say, to more of a mechanical work. So mechanization using machines that run with steam engines and in a similar way. So basically, this was the time when the factories started to form around these particular mechanization or mechanical aspects of things. So there were gears, there were a lot of machines that run on steam power, as I said, that came together and that they were part of the factories then. So eventually, factories also resulted into urbanization. Uh, and the other impact that I write here is that the land owning aristocracy to industrial capitalists. So we started shifting towards industrial capitalist at this particular revolution, at the dawn of this particular revolution. And then came the second industrial revolution. So the second industrial revolution, as I write here, is really the revolution of the electrical grid. So the electrical energy started empowering our assembly lines, our factories more and more. We started moving towards mass production. Now we can produce good at a mass level, at a huge quantity than ever before, I would say. Uh, that resulted into more cheaper goods. That resulted into jobs, some new sort of jobs that were required. So there were a lot of different impacts with this, but one of the social impact, I would say, would be that we then realized what the modern cooperation and the middle class could look like. So basically, this is where the birth of middle class came into action in the urbanization that was already initiated by the first industrial revolution. Um, and with this, we moved in 19, I would say 1960s or sometime into the third industrial revolution, which is the revolution of computer and information technology, as I would put it here. But behind this, of course, there was development of a lot of electronic equipments. There was electronics as a new field altogether that came into action. And as you all know, our mobile phones, a lot of our devices, satellites, everything function on electronics, information technology, and computer. So I would say third industrial revolution has really benefited a lot of countries, including India as well. Uh, as you know, with the revolution of IT in India, and there are a lot of jobs around IT areas in India. Uh, so this kind of revolution resulted into the impact resulted into something like a creation of a digital world, like the creation of the internet, uh, up to some degrees of internet, the initial internet, I would say, the creation of the information technology. And what really happened into our social spaces is that it created billionaires who were created just by writing codes, and also left a lot of billions behind, which is very important for us to understand because these revolutions, as you see, they limit few people who have catched the train earlier, let's say, on these revolutions, or who were privileged by their geography or who were privileged by their existing wealth, they have benefited the most out of this revolution, as you could see. So the geography, the privilege, the education, because you have wealth, you have some privileges. So these groups have benefited the most out of this revolution, and as you could see, they have entered the billionaires race now. And because of this, a lot of people have also been left behind. So this is how our social structure has changed in the third industrial revolution. Um, and it is very important for us to understand that the late we catch this train, the more behind we fall together. I wouldn't say it's a good model, definitely not. But this is what the industrial revolution has pushed to, the third industrial revolution. But how about the fourth industrial revolution? I've left that particular space for us right now because I would like to put this question to all of you and to just let you ponder on this question because before I explain you what the fourth industrial revolution is. So I would say that let's take 20 seconds, not a lot, but just take 20 seconds, and I would really be silent for 20 seconds. And I want you to write your answers in the chat or write it somewhere else because I want us to discuss that at the end of the session. You can come up with the questions. But the question is, if the third industrial revolution is computer, information technology, and electronics and all that things, what do you think is the fourth industrial revolution? And what is the impact that it will produce to the society? And I would now stop for let's say 15 seconds, and I would like you to ponder onto it. Uh, so go ahead. Think of the transition. Think of how we went from mechanical to electrical. Now we are at the computer and information technology. What could be the fourth one? Okay. So I think you have got enough time to ponder upon this. You can also think about this as we go ahead as well. And I would like you to write it down, whatever you feel about the fourth industrial revolution, because we want to see if it really falls into that set. Okay. Um, so let's go ahead. So what the fourth industrial revolution is these particular words that I have wrote down here. So one thing includes Internet of Things, cyber physical system, AI, advanced robotics, and also a thought of sustainability around all of it. So what does all of this mean, basically? Is something that we have to also learn ourselves. As I've said a lot of as I've said that throughout this session, I'm going to put a lot of words, new words, and jargons as well for you to go and explore them yourself, because that is what worked for me, and I believe that will also work for you. My goal would be just to motivate you enough so that you go and catch your own fish eventually. So, to give you some hints, Internet of Things, right now we are communicated over Internet, right? I'm trying to talk to you and reach you because there is an internet that connects me and you together. There is a network that gets hot whenever I put a request of connecting with you, and we meet together at this particular hot place. Similarly, there will be an Internet of Things. Now, the Internet of People will shift more to also Internet of Things, where your phone, your car, your home, the sensors at your home will be connected together on an internet place, and they can communicate with each other seamlessly in real time, so that they could make decisions better. For example, you are driving a car, maybe some part of your car gets damaged. You don't know. Maybe the sensor records it and realizes, oh, this part is about to get damaged in the next 2 hours. So what this sensor does, it directly sends a message to the nearby uh, garage and checks if they have the spare part for this. So the computer in the garage checks, oh, we don't have the spare part, maybe send request to the next garage. And this way it gives you back a result that there is a garage 2 kilometers so and so. If you go there, you would get this replaced. It's very important that you replace it. So this is an example of Internet of Things. I would say you go and dive more deeper into this so that you get more idea about this revolution and what is exactly Internet of Things. But today we will talk about cyber physical systems. We will talk about AI and we will talk about robotics. So all the other aspects we are covered. Um, so now that I have introduced you some words of the fourth industrial revolution, the keywords. I am not talking yet about the impact, right? I'm not yet trying to give you an idea about how the social setup will change, because that is where I would invite you and all the researchers and all the young people or anyone in this group that is joining with us today to think and to ponder upon what and how will the social model, the socio-political model or the economical model will shift with this particular revolution. I will give you some hints as we go along. But before that, we need to still understand more properly what the fourth industrial revolution is. So, which is also known as the Industry 4.0. This is the keyword which would lead you to a lot of interesting technological revolution contents and components. So, uh, I would highly suggest you that go ahead and use this word in your Google searches and check what's happening basically. So you will see a lot of new technologies always with respect to this particular word. So it's called Industry 4.0. It was this word is just the word for industrial revolution. 4.0 signifies a digital revolution in a way or two. So this term was coined in Hanover, which is in the north side of Germany, in the Hanover Messe, so basically Hanover Fair, in 2011. And that is where I think in that particular time somewhere I read it in the newspaper, uh, and that is what made this all possible for me. On the right side, you see this image where I try to not me, but this image is taken from the V Forum website, and in this image, they are trying to talk about a lot of components that make up the Industry 4.0. Uh, we don't want to necessarily go into deep on each component into this session, because we will specifically talk about robotics and AI and what role it plays inside this revolution, because it's a very important role. That It's a very important role, and a lot is happening in this particular area today. So as I said, industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution is the revolution of robotics, AI, Internet of Things, and then there are breakthroughs in a lot of other domains as well, which you see here. Now, what's really going to change in this industrial revolution is that the value chain is going to be completely broken down. So, what is a value chain? Earlier, how the industries worked was that, let's say you have an idea, you have a particular car that you want to make, which is your idea. Uh, you create that idea, you set it on the delivery, the logistics take care of it, and then it is delivered to the customer. This is the simple linear flow of how a value or an idea is created and then delivered to the customer. So that was the traditional value chain, which was design, manufacturing, quality, logistics, customer. And here you could see that it's pretty much linear in a sequence, right? Quality has to come after manufacturing. Logistics has to come after quality. So it's linear in its sequence. Uh, but in Industry 4.0, this is going to be completely disrupted. So that's why we need new brains and new people who come up with new ideas on how do we now design the value chain. What is going to happen is that because we have so much of sensors, we have so much of these intelligent systems, robotics, and a lot coming into action now. We have so much of communication going on between things that, let's say, if you manufacture something in real time and you, with the sensors, you are recording the data and you realize the quality is not good enough, let's say, then you can quickly tune it. So here you see that the manufacturing quality goes back and forth together. So there is no linear sequential value chain. But as soon as I see a fault in manufacturing, I can, uh, which of course I can check with my sensors, which affects my quality. I go back to manufacturing and I improve it in real time. So I think this has really disrupted or has proposed a new way for us to imagine the value chain. And this is where a lot of management and a lot of interesting work is going on as well. A lot of research is going on how the value chain would be designed, how these components will communicate with each other. Um, so, for example, a customer, if the customer has not liked a particular thing, then everything is connected altogether. So the customer can directly impact the design phase. So exactly. So it has made things even more customer centric and more and we can also reduce the batch of our production altogether. Um, what I write here in a bold in bold, you could see, is something called as digital twin. And it is also again a jargon and a keyword that I would like to leave you with, because it's a very interesting word and there is a lot happening around this particular space. So the digital twin, in this case, let's say, is a digital version of our factory. So whatever you are doing in your physical factory, all of this data is recorded by the sensors, because the sensor sees, oh, this is going good, this is going bad. Or the sensor can also predict, if there is a machine learning model behind the sensor, then we can also use some predictions. And we can see all of this inside a digital world first, like how everything is going to happen, and then move it to the physical world. So if I'm confident about something in my digital world, that is the point, that is when I would move it to the physical world. So that's why there is a lot of research going on in the digital twin, because it is a very important aspect and part of the value chain of Industry 4.0. Uh, Exactly. So I think with this, we have got some idea about what the fourth industrial revolution is and the components of it. We have got an idea that it's definitely going to disrupt our linear value chain. There is going to be a lot of opportunity for new ideas and new thoughts where we design new value chains or new ideas on how customer impacts the design directly, how the sensors record quality, and then we tune it in real time. So there is a lot of research going on in this particular area. So now coming back to my title again. So now we know the fourth industrial revolution. So I am not highlighting it anymore. But we still don't know about these terms. What is robotics? What is cyber systems? And what is AI? Let's say. So now let me dedicate these few slides around this particular topic. So whenever I talk about robotics or robots in general, to a lot of audience, a lot of uh, I got an opportunity to teach to kids in one of the summer school. So I want to really mention that whenever I try to talk to them about robots, this is what they imagined. So for them, the robot is like a humanoid here, which waves at you, which talks to you, which looks at you, and they're right as well. But that is the only thing is that this is a robot for sure, but this is not the only thing that is a robot. So anything that senses, processes instruction, can think, and then act on that instruction is a robot in general. And here I would use this definition, which is largely known that a robot is any system that perceives its environment, processes that perception, and acts upon the world with some degree of autonomy. So basically, boiling down to anything that can sense its environment, process the instruction after sensing, and then act on that instruction in the environment is a robot. So this particular definition can fit into all of these aspects that you see in front of you. So in front of you here, especially this we talked about, this is a humanoid robot. This is a robot that looks like a human. It has senses on its the eyes are basically sensors, which senses and which checks who is in front of him, and then yeah, basically acts based on that particular instruction. This is something called as an industrial robot. We'll talk about why it's an industrial robot. It's called an industrial robot, but it is nothing but uh, a sequence or a serial or a series. It's actually called a series manipulator also because it's a series of joint one, joint two, joint three. So basically, it's a series of joints, something like our hand, which can move things, lift and place here and there and stuff like that. Here you see a robot by ABB. It's called Yumi. uh, it also kind of shows it's also kind of an hand, right? You see two hands here. So I would also say it like anthropic kind of robot, which has these arms and joints that kind of can lift things, can move things here and there. Here you see very interestingly a very interesting robot, which I think you might have already seen in a few videos here and there because it's quite famous lately. So this is a robot by Boston Dynamics. It's called a dog, a robot dog. And here there are sensors, as you could see, there are cameras, and this robot just moves with the human and then does a lot of things, a lot of interesting things. Um, is an autonomous driving vehicle or a car a robot as well? Uh, so this is a question that I want to answer now. Also, I'm asking and I'm raising this question. What do you think? Do you think an autonomous vehicle or a car is a robot? In my opinion, I think it's yes, because it can sense its environment. Of course, it does. It can process instruction. Okay, for example, if someone is crossing the street, it can sense, it can process that someone is crossing the street, and then it can push the brakes. So it has also acted on the environment. So I would say a autonomous vehicle is also a robot. Similarly, if there are robots, there have to be a lot of robot-based applications, right? So here are a few applications that I have kind of also worked around these areas. These are not my images, but I have worked around these areas in robotics. So I wanted to really talk about them because these are some well-known robot applications and commonly used. So here you see a robot doing welding operation on a particular part because a robot is like an arm, as I said, a human arm. So it can move up and down and it can and in multiple directions, as you see, and it can perform welding tasks onto it. But here, the second picture here, you see that a robot called Cyberknife, which is very interesting, and I would definitely say you to go check it out after the session. Here is a robot which does radio surgery on patients. So let's say this patient is suffering from a particular there is some tumor, a problematic tumor. Then the robot would first locate that tumor, not the robot, but with CT scan and all other scans, you can locate the tumor. But the robot would then move uh, on top of this tumor where there are no organs at risk, because you don't want to put radiosurgery on the organs. So the robot has to move nicely and find locations from where it can deliver the intensity, the radio surgery, beam with a certain intensity. So it's very interesting, and the applications is immense, and it is really growing a lot. A lot of people are using CyberKnife now. So it's an interesting application. Here you see a robot trying to do some assembly and some work on a car structure, on a car, on a vehicle's core structure, I would say. And this is very interesting. This, you could say that the robot is in a production line and trying to make the production more rapid, I would say. Um, just some idea of how the industrial robots is increasing is that the industrial it's 31% year on year growth rate of the industrial robots as per the 2022 report, IFR report. Uh, what is interesting about this report, and I wanted to write it down here, is that Asia is the largest market for these robots, interestingly, and which I earlier didn't had an idea myself, because I thought like a lot of robots are being installed in the Western world, but that's not true. A huge market is also Asia. And with that, you see here that the robots are also being used to kind of 3D print parts in the industries. So here you see a robot which has some module on top of it, let's say a tool which extrudes material. Uh, and yeah, basically the robot just layer by layer creates a part here, and it 3D prints a complete part. So that's why you could say also that the robots can also be used as a 3D printer in the industries. Now, how to what is a how to learn robotics, right? How to what is included into robotics as a subject. So I would say that our definition first started with sensing, right? So the robot has to have a sensor. A sensor can be anything. It can also be a camera, let's say. It can also be an infrared sensor. But the study of robotics includes studies of sensors, studies of understanding how to place the sensor. It includes study of actuator. Actuator is anything that acts in the physical world or in the environment. For example, wheels could be an actuator. My joints of my hands are an actuator. So an actuator is something that actuates the environment, that moves through the environment. Then we need some control technology as well, right? We need to know uh, what are the limits, how to control a particular motion properly, uh, and a lot of computer science also to program and to dictate what the robot must do. But interestingly, just to get you more motivated for this subject, because it's one of my favorite subjects, I would say that robotics is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place where you can see maths in action, actually. So I would say it's the ground, it's the place where all your math-based weapons you can test and see them how they perform in reality. So that's why I call it as a wonderful field where you can really see maths in action. And for that, I have created a quick demonstrator for all of you so that you get an idea of what I mean. I would say that it will not give you a complete idea of how everything works in robotics, but I just want to give you an essence of how visualizing math would look like. So here I wrote a quick program. You don't have to understand the program, but the point here is that we have this particular robot. Hmm, okay, let me move this. We have this particular robot in front of us. I have to restart this. We have this robot in front of us, which is the Panda robot. It's called Panda robot. It's from Franca Amica. Uh, Here are some coordinates. I'm not sure if you could see it because when I programmed it, it's pretty small. I just realized it's probably pretty small. But here is X, Y, Z, RX, RY, RZ. So basically, let's say this is our target. We want our robot to move here. Let's say I move my X a little bit back or a little bit front. Let's say I move it here. Let's say I move my Y a little bit there. So now the point has gone there. So what is basically happening is that I have changed my target point. This is my target point. I want my robot to go here. Let's say I have given a task to robot to, let's say, pick up an apple, and the apple is here. How do I say the robot to go to this point? What is the method? What how can I just say? Because the robot is made up of joints, right? We talked about this particular robot in this case, which is a industrial robot, also called as serial manipulator, because it has joints in series, attached in a series, in a sequence, right? Not in a sequence, but in a series. So the question is, how do you or anyone uh, make the robot go from this place to this place? What is the program? How does the program look like? Is it mathematics, or does the robot understand English? Of course, the robot won't understand English. So it's mathematics. I would like to just trigger how it would look like when the robot goes there. So let's say this is how the robot has gone to that point, and then now the robot has stopped. You realize that the robot slowed down as it went to that point. When it started at its home position, it was going at a suitable speed, but when it was reaching that point, it slowed down because it realized. How did it realize? We will talk about that, but it realized that it is has reached to that point and it has slowed down. So I don't want to give you a lot of mathematics in this particular uh, session, but I want to inspire you on how you can see this. So for example, here you see all X, Y, Z, okay, that I talked about. So this is my target. I'll call it target, let's say. So this is where I want to go. Sorry for my handwriting because I'm using my mouse right now. But you understand this is the target. This is XYZ position where I want to go. Um, but the robot has joints. The robot does not understand XYZ because it only understands how to move these joints. There is a joint here, there is a joint here, there is a joint here. You can see clearly this is a joint. Uh, there is a joint here, and there is probably another joint somewhere here. So basically what's happening is that I have this target which can be represented as a matrix. So often when I was in my 11th grade, when I was studying 12th and 11th and 12th in my junior college, I had no idea about why and how to use a matrix, right? A matrix in this case looks something like this, which has a bunch of values inside of it, as you know. But I had no idea about how to use it. But in robotics, this particular target can be very clearly described in a matrix in an extremely beautiful way. So what I'm saying is that this is a 4 by 4 matrix, by the way. So it has 4 rows and it has 4 columns. So the point here is that no matter wherever you are in the world, in the earth or in the universe, I can locate you with just this 4 by 4 matrix, which has, let's say, 16 numbers inside of it, actually. So I can locate you no matter wherever you are with just these few numbers and this particular structure. So now what happens is that this structure goes into some function. I don't know what is that function. We don't want to define it because that's not the point of today's lecture. And then this function outputs the joint values because this joint will move in a particular angle, right? Let's say the angle is theta. I don't know how much the angle is, or maybe 45 degrees. Okay, let's say the angle is 45 degrees. So this movement of angle to reach this 4 by 4 matrix will take place in a function, and eventually this function should output 45 degrees because this function will learn that to reach this point, I have to map this point in the joint space of the robot, and eventually the output would be 45 degrees. So basically what I realize is that when I move 45 degrees on joint 1 and let's say 20 degrees on joint 3, that is when I reach my target eventually. So the point here is really, now the question comes to us. What happens if I change this 4 by 4 and if I change one column completely? What if I change this row completely? What if I change this function completely? What if I don't multiply it with 1, but I multiply it with 2? what actually happens. So the beauty of robotics is that no matter what experiments you do, no matter what mathematics you change, no matter uh, what equations you make, the positive thing it gives you is that you see it in action directly. So you see how changing a matrix has cost you tremendously, or have changing a matrix has become a good thing eventually in your path, right? So there are a lot of beautiful mathematical uh, you know uh, ideas that robotics can reveal to you. And when you move to robotics and when you start learning about robotics, maths start becoming more and more visual to you. So for me, when you give me a matrix, I would visualize how the robot will move around this matrix. Is this matrix a rotation? Is this matrix a reflection? Is this matrix going to increase the space of the robot, or is this going to make it more smaller? So based on that, I can understand how a system is working. If you give me a matrix that makes the system more smaller, then I would say no, it's a congested matrix. I can't perform more inside this space. So the point here uh, is just to motivate you that uh, mathematics is the core of a lot of things, robotics, AI, and everything. But in robotics, you get a chance to visualize it. And because of that, your mathematics and your ideas become more and more stronger. And the way you can solve your problems in real world with your mathematical equations or ideas become more and more robust, right? Um, okay, so I would clear all of this and go back now to my presentations. So we talked about robotics gives us a power for mathematics in action. Now I want to quickly talk about cyber physical systems, which is kind of the next step from robotics, which is literally uh, the physical system, which you can say a robot, but using also the digital space and connecting it with the IT infrastructure altogether. So cyber physical system, cyber stands for digital and computational core. So what actually is happening is that IT and OT is connected. Let's say the operational technology and the information technology is overlapping at a particular place, and that is really cyber physical system. So where digital intelligence actively controls physical processes in real time, that is computation, communication, and physical action are deeply integrated in real time. So I would also invite you to after this session to discuss more about this topic. You can also write me. But the idea is that check this out. It's a very interesting thing that's going on right now, and it is the next step from robotics. Also, a robot is a cyber physical system, but cyber physical system is a bigger set because it just not just does not include robotics, but also infrastructure, where a lot of robots or a lot of physical systems interact with each other together to kind of deliver a particular task. So the examples here could be self-driving car. As I said, it's a robot and also a cyber physical system. But an automated robotic cell is a cyber physical system where a lot of robots are interacting with each other together in a cyberspace in real time and then trying to communicate and do a particular task. Also, your modern insulin pump, a pump that checks your blood sugar level and based on that, delivers a dosage of insulin is kind of a cyber physical system because it senses and after sensing it processes and then based on processing it actuates, it delivers a particular medicine or some uh, insulin in a particular way. So this is what cyber physical system is. Now let's move to artificial intelligence. I really just have one slide for that because I know you might have heard about it a lot. Uh, but the idea is AI is not a product, but AI is a technology. It's a subject which is capable of. So the idea of this technology is that something which is capable of learning and using knowledge to perform tasks, like humans, for example. When you teach a baby multiple times how an apple looks like and how to eat it, the baby, even if it grows up, it goes to some other nation here and there, and whenever it sees an apple, it would still eat the apple the same way, the way it has been taught, you know. So the point here is that the model or the algorithm, or in fact, the mathematical machine, I would say, The idea is that it learns by itself, and then using that knowledge or the experience from learning, it tries to improve that process and performs a particular task. So that is really uh, the subject that AI is, the technology that AI is. And the need for having an AI was really because there is so much of digital data right now on internet. uh, and a lot of this data we humans can't directly process, because there is so much on internet that one should know. So an AI helps us with this sort of data because it is trained on a huge amount of data for a particular task, um, and then it performs on that based on that data and learning, and then it helps us with that learning by performing tasks. To know more, I would like to also talk about our initiative, which is Ambedkar AI Initiative. And I would say that to know more about artificial intelligence, we have wonderful mentors there. And I would invite you to go check that out so that you know more about AI, other than the things that I have presented today and talked about. But really, what you should take away from this session, because it's about industrial revolution, is that how the AI is going to shift our infrastructure and how we imagine things. So here on the right, you see that the 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 bedrock of the AI is supported by energy and physical infrastructure. And I'm sure you all must be hearing from here and there that there is a lot happening in the cities around you, and there is a lot of places where data, uh, you know, the cities are being redesigned or new cities are installed, which would support this particular infrastructure. There is a lot happening also in Mumbai and Navi Mumbai. I think you can check that out as well. But on top of this sits the hardware, which is our GPU, CPUs. On top of that sits our data, which is very important, right? We need more and more data so that we can train our models. And then there are software models on top of the data. And eventually that is made available. All the training and learning is made available through an application. Uh, but my question, which I want to keep open in this session, is that what happens if the one is not if one or a particular group or community is not really represented in this data or is falsely represented in data? What happens then how would this community be shown in the AI revolution or in the in the AI world altogether if the community is not in the data, or if it is falsely represented in the data, then it would not be part of the policies and the overall AI revolution. So I want to keep that as an open question and want to ask it to all of you. With this, I would move and I would just also motivate another topic, which is not a formal and a scientific term yet, but it is called something as physical AI, which is just robotics plus cyber physical system, which we talked about, and then AI all together, all of this coming together to kind of creating a whole organism, as you see here, which is physical AI. So basically, this is an AI that can directly interact with physical world. Right now, our chat GPT, our photo editors, and all these things, they interact with our photos. ChatGPT interacts with your language. It talks to you. It gives you an idea its based on its training data of the internet. So it's for a specific particular purpose. But in this case, a physical AI would not just do those tasks, but will also know how to navigate, move around in your physical world. Uh, and I just wanted to put this particular term in front of all of you so that you can also read about this. So this is really amalgamation or place where robotics, cyber physical system, and AI come together. So I think it's interesting, and you should definitely check out. With this, we reach to our conclusion and a extended talk, I would say, the conclusion of our extended talk. But I have highlighted some very key points that I want you all to take from the session today and to really understand the urgency of this particular revolution and why it is important for us as a community, as an individual, to climb uh, the train of this revolution as soon as we can so that we are not left out, or so that we can shape this revolution, right, for us and for all of us and for the sustainable world out there. So the conclusions, let's go uh, point by point from them, is that first time the tools of the revolution are accessible to everyone. So the third revolution was uh, more or less to the people who were geographically tight, geographically packed, and privileged people at a particular place. Okay, so your geography played a big role. Your background played a humongous, huge role to kind of become a billionaire, as you know, in this particular third revolution. But the fourth revolution offers us a possibility to learn and to be part of this literally from everywhere, literally from any stream. So I think it's very important for us to understand that. The democratization of knowledge is real, but it requires deliberate action. We can see that now internet is filled and fueled with a lot of knowledge, but the goal and the importance is that we need to also know what is our knowledge, what is something that we can ignore, what is something that we have to learn. So basically there is a deliberate action that is needed now to kind of also move and learn and then be you know but then push our original ideas in particular streams. New models and new ideas are needed. I think that's pretty straightforward. The question is policy, education, and who gets to shape the technology now, because as you see, a lot is happening right now, a lot is moving here and there. So I would like to also push this question, that who gets to shape all of this, who is shaping all of this, what is happening, what is coming in the future around this particular revolution. So World Economic Forum, which is my second last point, it says that the jobs are not been lost, but the net jobs in the coming future are going to be just increased. And to check and to read more about that, I have found this wonderful report. You can also get the PDF of this report. Here you will see all the jobs that are coming up and how this revolution is creating more jobs. So usually a lot of people ask me questions that we are going to lose a lot of jobs, but that's also true up to some degrees. A lot of current jobs will be lost, but a lot of new jobs will come up, and this report talks exactly about that. So I would also, try to. So I would also say you that go and check that out. Um, and one thing that we should take out from whatever I talked today, that we should all read more and more about what is happening. We should try to understand what is the possibility, and what can this system do, and what can this system not do, right, in this particular revolution. So that is really something very important for us to understand, so we find the gaps and we can fill them together. So my last words for this session would be that my goal today, by introducing you the fourth industrial revolution, was not to push a particular subject or stream like robotics or AI, but it was really to show you that there are so many gaps right now in the industrial revolution. There are so many questions that are not answered. We don't know how it will impact our social, political, economical world. We don't know what are the educational policies, or what are the how to shape this technology altogether. We don't know how the new value chain would look like. What are the customers allowed to tune? What are the customers not allowed to tune? Uh, and we don't know all of this, and how would it impact the human psychology altogether. So I just want to basically communicate that there is a lot of streams and a lot of possibilities that you can think, and you can position your contribution in this particular revolution. And I would urge us all to kind of be part of this, and to take this pretty seriously, and to act on this revolution, so that it would just benefit us individually and also on a community level. And thank you for all of your time today. And I would like to end my talk now.
Thank you, Pradnil. Now we would like to have some questions or some comments if the participants want.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself, or you can write in the chat box.
Yeah, Shivangi, please go ahead. Nice.
Can you unmute yourself, Shivam?
Hello, hello. This presentation was really nice. I enjoyed every bit of it. Very
Thank you.
insightful. So I just have a couple of questions. First one is, do you really think that the social biases that exist in the society will also reflect in the artificial intelligence in the coming days? And secondly, in the recent budget that was discussed in the parliament, I think in February and in March beginning, they said that a lot of data centers will be established in India. Like they're going to incentivize establishment of data centers in India. So, do you think that is going to take India a step forward in this stream, or is it just a um, wastage of resources in India? Like the foreign companies will come establish their data centers and use up the resources, or will it even take India further in the field? Yeah, these are my questions.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think it's a pretty packed question. I so the first part of your question, which was if these data biases would also be part of the AI models. So I think that's uh, a pretty nicely researched topic already altogether. And it is true there are many cases. Uh, I haven't cited them here today, but you would definitely find a lot of papers and a lot of events, incidents where these biases have been reflected into day-to-day life. For example, from hiring at a particular company, there are these models were biased against women at a particular scenario because the training data has so much of biases. Also, if you there is also a particular paper which talked about how ChatGPT and these type of foundational models, if you give them a particular idea about, let's say, creating a scenario, and then you give cast of the people to that particular scenario, then all the jobs that would be considered, I would say, lower jobs, I would say, there is no such term, but just to use in this context, the model learns that there are some jobs which are considered bad, and then it assigns those jobs uh, based on uh, uh, based on the caste of the individuals. So the model has somehow learned also caste discrimination. There are many more serious issues than this. I just recall these two, and unfortunately, I don't know exactly the authors who have wrote this paper, but I would say that you should check that out. And about the data centers, um, I think I'm sure, yeah, so for sure there is a lot happening uh, in in India and also around Maharashtra. While there is so much of issues with resources already, including the water crisis and a lot of things, we are already pushing to kind of develop the data centers and a lot of technology around it. To be very honest, I think uh, this would be this would require a very serious and rigorous research uh, before we do something like this. Right now, since the whole world is moving together to catch up to this revolution that I just presented, so there are also some steps that a few governments, not just India, but a lot of nations are taking, which I would say they are just trying to push and leverage the most out of this revolution. But I think anything that is done into such a hasty way would not be a sustainable solution. So, to answer your question, I think it would not be the the most efficient solution, in my personal opinion, as of now, if we don't really research and push to make it in a more sustainable approach. Because the 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 infrastructure that I read so far has not promised me that it would create a sustainable environment for all of us.
Thank you so much for the response. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I can stop sharing. Yes, Pritham, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Jai Bhim Dada.
Javim.
I'm Pritam and I'm currently pursuing my undergrad from IITM.
Hmm.
And I have a bunch of questions for you in robotics and also in AI,
Yes.
and also the ethics in robotics.
Hmm.
So, here's my first question. Do you think AGI is gonna be a real thing or it's a hoax? or hype?
Okay.
And what's your definition of AGI?
Okay. So basically, AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. Um, General in the sense it stands for an intelligence or an AI that is not dedicated for a specific task. Like right now we have ChatGPT, for example, which is a language model, so it is dedicated to work around language related operations and tasks. But an AGI is intelligence that goes beyond a specific task, so it's a generalized, it can do a lot of things, so something similar to human or slightly more better than human. So the goal is to make AGI more better than human. Right now all the AI models that we are using are called ANI, which are narrow intelligence. So that I would say is a very simple way for me to understand how AGI is, something that is more general of an intelligence, something like a human or slightly more beyond human. um, is AGI a real thing, and is it going to happen? I think it is going to happen, but I think it will take a lot of time. I don't know how long will it take, but I don't think it anywhere close right now. Right now we are not even at. Uh, right now we are just exploring, let's say, the tip of the iceberg, I would say. So there is a lot of scope for our AI. And in fact, right now we are not even completely uh, doing what is called as AI. So we are really on the tip of the iceberg. And the models that we are all using so far, we have been, the physicists, the mathematicians have been using this model for long back. Right now, we have just made them commercially available, and the companies have realized to kind of make profit out of these algorithms. But the point here is that it will happen, I think, but it will take a lot of time for it to happen.
What's your timelines?
I would say, I'm not really sure, but I would say more than 100 years from now,
More than 100 years.
100, 200 years, something like that. Yeah. But everything is growing super rapid right now. And uh, I too, even though I work in this industrial revolution area and I kind of research on these technologies altogether, I still feel a lot outdated every now and then. Every day there is a new thing that I have to read and I have to understand. So everything is growing pretty
Yeah, same
rapidly.
here.
Yeah.
I find it really difficult to keep up with AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my second question is, how do you
Uh-huh.
reconcile this idea of like narrow traditional robotics, and there is something new in the market, it's called like physical AI or something like they are using VLAs right now, and they said that they're gonna solve the like transfer learning problem, and then it will work like human. So what do you think about VLAs and its
Mhm.
promise?
I think it's not yet in the scientific space altogether. So it's
Yeah, it is.
mostly,
Check out physical intelligence. I can send you some links.
is it? Okay, you can send me the link. But the physical AI was recently coined actually. Definitely there is a lot going on in this area. I'm not really sure. I think it will take a lot of time for it to also be, you know, something similar, like to really be among people. I think it will take a lot of time. That would be my answer, because when you work with physical machines like robotics, for example, uh,
Yeah.
um, there is a lot of nitty gritty and lot of detailing that our brain just directly does for us. For example, when I lift this pen in my hand, there is a lot of math and a lot of intelligence behind just lifting a pen, which we still are trying to figure out properly to do it in our industries. Right now, if you check out the recent papers in robotics, they are around soft robotics, and they are trying to really still lift the pen properly and to move it in a particular way and together. If it's a rigid system, if it's a attached tool, then it's easy. But to really lift and to act in the real world, uh, I would say it's not that easy. So I think it would still take a lot of time to kind of realize this AI that kind of can also influence the or affect or actuate the real world, the physical world, I would say.
Yeah, but I saw there is this professor from like Stanford philosophy.
Mhm.
She said that they solved this dexterity problem, and it was able to pull up the clothes and put it into the washing machine and do the stuff like fold the clothes.
Okay. Yeah, then that's good. But I think it will reach some. It will take some time to adapt to all of it, like all of, because there comes also the ideas of safety and how safe it is,
Yeah,
what is
and the
going to
question of
happen and all this.
explainability.
Definitely, that's a very big question. That's why I think it's in the motion. A lot is happening, and inside this particular revolution, we can't really give timeline to things because anything can happen at any time at this point. Uh, yeah, exactly.
And what kind of problem do you work in, like
What
personally?
kind
You
of
know,
problem?
problems do you work in?
Yeah. So I work in the area where basically we want to manufacture parts, basically. Um,
Yeah.
this can be for any aerospace operation as well. So my work is more on how do we develop the processes with the robots, not just physical but also digital processes, so that we can realize these parts, we can manufacture these parts. So it's more of a digital world problem. So I'm dealing more in the digital spaces, the software, and then the robotics uh, together.
So are you mostly working in like modeling stuff or like programming?
Uh, I'm working more on how can we communicate between things, how this communication will then be connected to a particular intelligence, for example, and how to then simulate it in the digital world, validate it, and then move it further, basically, something like that.
Okay, cool. Got it. And my other question is,
Pritam,
yeah.
let others ask
Okay,
questions
okay.
also.
Got it. Thank you.
We have some questions in the chat box. You may read Pradnil. You
Oh,
can
okay.
read it.
Mm, okay. Does How do you use AI in your daily life is something that Tushar asked. Is that the only question? Or no? Social bias in ChatGPT. Can you share any publication? Okay, I can share definitely. There are many publications, not just one or two. Um, because I knew that today's session I would get a get a certain window of time, so I didn't want it to really go in that direction. Uh, but now I feel that I should have added at least some one or two citations for this. But there are many papers. I can share it with you. And if you want to check, we also had a talk on this social bias in ChatGPT or in AI in one of our uh, sessions in the Ambedkar AI initiative. So I would really invite you to uh, go join that group and to check that out. So we did the session already on this topic. How do you use AI in your daily life? Tushar is asking me that. So Tushar, I use, to be very honest, I like uh, to when I read something, let's say if I have read something interesting, which is not necessarily from my domain, not from my area. So I ask AI, I connect ChatGPT to my AirPods, and while I'm cooking or while I'm doing my household chores, I ask AI and I discuss this particular thoughts with the AI. So the other day I was reading about pyramids and in Egypt. So I started conversation with AI and it started giving me some ideas, and whichever idea I got, I wrote it down. So this is one way I get entertained by AI, because by just by talking to it. So you can use it to learn. Uh, then I can also use it to, to write something sometimes, but not that the AI would write something completely for me, but you can also use it to tailor, make a paragraph, or to get an idea of what is a nice way to position your thoughts or to learn new skills, uh, or to also learn mathematics. I would say AI is wonderful to learn, to get insights on mathematics. Um, yes, we'll lose our privacy when AI becomes mainstream. Yes, Sanjay, there is a lot going on in this area as well. The the speed with which AI is growing, definitely our data protection and all these things are not growing at that speed at this point. Uh, Europe is trying its best with its GDPR, which you can check that out later on, to kind of tackle these particular thoughts. But that's true. The way it's growing right now, there could be some challenges in what you have just mentioned. What is the difference between cyber physical system and robotic automation system? I think that's a lovely question. Um, they might look a little bit similar. Actually, a robotic automation system can uh, be also put into the cyber physical system. But the key difference here is that a robotic automation system can also be a system which is just programmed to do a particular task. For example, there are three robots which are programmed, in a way, just to do their tasks regularly. If there is an anomaly on the production line, let's say if there is a mistake or there is some error that is flowing through the production line, then this system will does not have enough flexibility to deal with it. So it will collapse eventually because it is just hard programmed to do that task. But a cyber physical system is a system which is integrated with sensors, with communication protocols, and with a lot of other, like also with a thinking capacity, as we said. So what happens is that if there is an error, if there is an outlier in this production system, then that's a cyber physical system or the setup will see it, will learn it, and then act accordingly. So cyber physical system is more communication based than the robotic automation system. But of course, you can advance the robotic automation system with these communication protocols, and then it would be a cyber system. Will AI create more jobs or take them away? There cannot be direct answer, but what is your theory around it? In my opinion, human intelligence and capacity cannot be replaced. I totally agree, Shivangi. Human intelligence cannot be replaced. That's why I always push and always try to say to people that do not surrender your intellect to the AI. AI is not as awesome as you are on an individual level. Uh, Never take any doctrine that goes against your awesomeness as a human being. So AI will so basically never surrender your intellect to the AI. Whatever the AI generates, or if it writes you something, cross check it, cross validate it. uh, will AI create more jobs in the future? That is what I also tried to communicate in today's talk. There is this report. I think I can also send it in the chat. 1 second. So there is this report which uh, I would say you all to go through and check that out, and then figure out if the jobs are going to go down or they are going to be increased. Because this report does a serious study on the jobs that are coming up, and the net result of the future jobs is huge. It's not small. There are a lot of new jobs that are coming up, but there will be a drop before we go to the jobs because we are not yet prepared. So there will be a drop. After every industrial revolution, there has been a drop. There has been a drop in employment. There has been the small phase of recession, I would say, after every industrial revolution, including the first, second, third, every. So with the fourth industrial revolution, there is going to be a drop as well. As a community, what is important for us to know that what is coming up, what are the new jobs, how do we tackle this drop, what are the new skills that we should be equipped with, so that we catch the train, as I'm saying. Uh, Sorry, should handled as critical, well, safe procedures in automation systems, right? I was confused as where is the intelligence in actually. Um, okay, so Mandar is still asking about cyber physical systems in this case. Mm, I want to give you an example, but I, you can reach me also privately, Mandar, and we can also talk about this because I exactly have an example for a robotic cell, but that would just complicate our today's conversation. But you can reach me and I can give you an idea about this. You can also ask me questions on the audio. No need to just type it down. It's totally fine. But we don't know what human intelligence is, do we? And difference between AI. Why do you I don't surpass human intelligence, at least in realm or knowledge work? Okay. But now we are actually going to a tangent, I would say, Preetham. Um, and this is a more bigger question to all of you to also think. If what is human intelligence basically is the question, and will AI ever surpass human intelligence? Is there a way that AI would surpass? So, to give you my take onto this, just a brief one would be that the artificial neural network, which we still call neural network, and the human neural network are not really same. Um, there are differences. The human neurons is not a 0 1 or not just a particular spectrum, but it is more than that. So on an architectural level, there are a lot of differences between ANN and a human neural network. But this question is still open on how much the intelligence would differ. Yeah.
Yeah, but is there any difference in the level of physics? Uh,
In the level of physics,
yeah,
hmm,
there is not, right?
I have to think about this because I have not thought of that. There could be. We can't just reject it right now.
Yeah, there could be, but uh, brain is not something mysterious or something, what do you say, something mysterious or something like a miracle or something like that. It's still in the realm of physics, right?
In my opinion, it's not a miracle or mysterious, definitely, but it is unknown to us right now. We don't know anything about how human brain works. We know hardly a little bit of how it works. If you slice one piece of, I would suggest you to read a particular article where they sliced one part of the brain, a very thin part of the brain, and they have realized a lot of interesting things. So you should read that, and how much of connections are tightly packed there, and how much of information is processed by just this one slice. Uh, so the point here is that it is of course bounded to all the physics that we live in, and also to the uncertainties that we live in. But the point here is that we don't know anything about human brain as well, I would say. That's why I call it a different tangent, and I would invite any other expert to talk about this here. But uh, yeah, to just conclude that it is a simple machine like a ANN or neural network that we are building right now, I don't think that.
Do you use AI in your work, in your research work?
I'm building AI in my research work, so
Do
I
you use
create
AI
AI
to build
models.
other AI, like to assist you, like let's say for coding or for simulation help or something like that?
I use it, but it's not those foundation models that are out there because I don't use the foundation models, and usually I don't use it that much because the models that are
Let's say Cloud Code or
created.
Codex.
No, I don't use Cloud Code or Codex. You can't use it in research environment setup where it's a research, so it's risky, I would say.
Yeah, it is risky, but there is a lot of happening. They published a paper in Nature or in ICML, like using AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my last question is, what would you recommend for like a 20-year-old who is in like college right now, doing his undergrad, and there is so much uncertainties, he can't decide what to focus on. There is AI, there is robotics, there is a lot of stuff he can't, like he won't be able to keep up. So how does he decide and plan out his career and what to do in future?
I think in in my opinion, I would say to this 20 years old to focus on the core of everything, the natural sciences behind everything. For example, as I mentioned today, the mathematics is the core behind everything, physics is the core behind everything. So I would say to this individual that don't just follow or flow inside directly using the AI models or programming something directly without understanding it, but dive deeper into the models and the mathematics and try to build the mathematical rigor behind it, so that in the future you are an original at contribution with your own thoughts and models. So I think there is more power uh, in knowing how things work than just using them. If you are 20 years old, because you have immense potential and time to do this, to build up good mathematical rigor, not just mathematics, any subject, pick social sciences or anything, but try to really understand the pillars of where this is standing all together. Uh, yeah, I think I would just recommend that.
So stick with basics.
Stick with
Funda-
basics.
yeah.
It's just called basics, but actually it is the pillars
Fundamentals.
of everything. It is everything. Trust me, it is everything. Uh, because today I can write any code and I can create any website UI that you want with just few prompts. But if you have the mathematical rigor, I can't ever create the concept or the algorithm that you could think of and the ideas that you can write on your paper. So that is the power that you have with your original thoughts, and with the basics, you can innovate a lot of new ideas. How would it affect masses version? Does it polarized economy where rich becomes rich or otherwise? And what should be the measures taken? Okay, Shivendra, thank you for this question. This was the point also of today's talk. So the question is, how would it affect masses like Bahujan? Does it polarized economies, where rich becomes rich or otherwise? And what should be the measure take in order to overcome this? It's a very good question. I'm not an expert. This is not my training. My training is in AI and robotics, but I definitely can comment based on that, on the industrial revolution that I presented. Uh, there is a scope for all of us to quickly learn and, you know, develop more and more ideas and contributions in this revolution. The sooner we do that, the sooner we realize that there is a shift, there is a change in everything around us, slowly. Uh, but the sooner we realize, and the sooner we educate ourselves about this change and the changes that are around us, we can slowly try to sync and tune ourselves to this change. So on a community level, I believe for the masses as well, that the first thing is to make this education and knowledge accessible to everyone. There are many free resources out there. There are many individuals, interesting mentors who have to come out and talk about this. So the first thing is for me is educate. The second thing for me is to also agitate. The third thing for me is also to organize, which is exactly what Babasaheb has said. So I'm still following these words, and I think this will help us also to, these three magical words will again help us to catch this revolution, which is very important. Uh, Thank you for that. That's an interesting question, and I think everyone should read that question and think about it. And those who are social sciences expert or management experts can also comment nicely on this based on the data that I have presented.
Mind I sharing my take? Like, I want to share my take on this question. Can I?
I think we are out of time right now. We can take one more question if Pradnil wants. Anyone?
Okay, I can take one more question, but Pritam has already asked a lot of questions, so I would take one
Yeah,
more
yeah,
from the chat.
from the
Yeah,
side.
Pritam, you can reach me
Sure.
also, no worries, on my email or teaching to educate and prepare students. Shashank asks me what will be, okay, I'll take this as the final question. So Shashank asked me, according to you, what will be the next industrial revolution 5.0? So interestingly, Shashank, there are a few researchers who are already talking about that. You should definitely go and look at that. So Industrial Revolution 5.0, which is not of our concern at this point because we have still not entered the 4.0 properly with all of us together. India is still transitioning. India is leaving out a lot of billion people behind. Only a few people are, as you know, getting and leveraging the most out of this, uh, and making a lot of money through this revolution. So we still have not properly addressed and have moved, or in fact, we are still transitioning into the fourth revolution, so 4.0. So I would say don't ponder a lot upon this question unless you are a researcher of Industry 5.0. But Shashank, thank you for putting this question. This is really something that the researchers are also talking right now. But I think it is not really completely yet expressed or articulated in a way because it's really not there yet. But is more of a revolution that is human centric. So the goal of 5.2 revolution would be more of a human centric revolution, where the human is an important thing and everything is centered around it. So a more of an anthropologic or translation revolution is something that what they term it. Uh, I would say you can read about it, but focus on what is going on right now, so that you know exactly which direction to sail from here from henceforth. Um, with this, I think we are running out of time, and I have to also do and catch up with my other tasks. But thank you everyone for staying until the very end, and I appreciate all of your comments and feedback.
Can you
Feel
share your
free
email?
to. Okay, I can share it to the organizers, and they can forward it to you
Okay, sure.
later on.
Yes,
So yeah, I
yes,
think
thanks. Yes,
that's all
Pratik.
from my side. Yeah,
Thank you so much. On the behalf of organizing team, I would like to extend my heartful gratitude to our speaker Pradnil
thank
for
you.
such an insightful and engaging session. Thank you for sharing your journey and what sparked your interest in this new generation of technology. Revolution. It was truly inspiring. You helped us understand how this field is deeply connected to the industry and physical infrastructure and the future of our society and how our community, in general, Ambedkarite community, can develop. We are truly inspired how you explained the complex concept in accessible manner. Your reflection on data bias, question of access, who gets to benefit from these technologies and need to democratize knowledge, where especially the thought provoking. You also highlighted that there are still many gaps in the field, encouraging all of us to read more, think more critically, and explore how these technologies will impact human life in future. Your insights into rapid development of robotics in real world implications gave us clear vision with an lies ahead. Once again, thank you so much for making such complex subjects so relatable and meaningful. We are truly grateful for your time and contribution. Before we
Thank you.
conclude, I would like to remind you all we have an exciting session tomorrow by Sonu, who is a PhD scholar at Triple IT Delhi and a visiting scholar at University of Texas, Austin. She will be speaking on the important topic that is caste, class, gender, and politics of belonging in the university spaces. I encourage all of you to join tomorrow at the same time. Thank you so much. Yes, I would like to conclude this session.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Jai Bhim.
you.